Greetings friends, and acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to the channel. The famous scene in Palpatine's office shows off Sidious' strength and power in the Force in Revenge of the Sith, as he ignites his lightsaber that shoots out from beneath his sleeve. Sidious swiftly destroys all of the Jedi Masters, except for Windu, in a matter of seconds, after catching all of them off guard with a cleverly timed Force scream, along with his blinding Force-imbued speed. The three other council members within the room were simply no match for the Dark Lord of the Sith, with even Kit Fisto falling to his blade nearly instantaneously. We all know what happens afterwards as history plays out. However, something stands out in this scene that not many have spoken about before. It wasn't but a few months earlier during the Clone Wars that Darth Sidious paid a visit to his former apprentice Maul and Savage Opress. In that battle on Mandalore, he had brought with him 2 lightsabers to take on the Zabrak brothers. This now begs the question, why then did Sidious not use 2 lightsabers when taking on 4 Jedi Masters, but opted to when taking on 2 Sith apprentices? There could be the possibility that there are many layers to this answer, so let's go ahead and peel them back one by one and see what seems to be most probable for an explanation. Before we begin though, I do want to let you know that this is all entirely speculative and some thoughtful theory. If you have your own ideas, please be sure to comment it down below and discuss amongst your fellow commenters which you think is the best theory. Now, let us begin and open up yet another holocron. First though, according to our analytics, a lot of the ships that pass our battle station have not yet docked, so if you've been enjoying the daily holocron openings and Star Wars lore, reach out with the Force and Force crush that subscribe button. The first thing that we need to note is super important, and that is that it is canon that Palpatine only ever kept 1 lightsaber on his person at any given time, and even sometimes he didn't carry it at all. For most of the Clone Wars actually, he didn't wear one when he took on the persona of Palpatine, but did when he was his true self in Darth Sidious. In the waning days of the Clone Wars, Sidious began to sense that the time was nigh, and so he began to wear his lightsaber as Palpatine again, as the moment to strike could arise at any given time. Darth Sidious kept his lightsaber neatly tucked up his sleeve. Ever the pragmatist, Darth Sidious had also constructed a second, identical lightsaber. This was meant as a backup, and kept it hidden inside a small compartment in a statue within his office. It would be this second lightsaber that he would use post-Order 66 after losing his first in a duel with Windu. I say all this to say, the first theory we have is that Sidious was simply unprepared for the Jedi Council members. While an unlikely theory, let's break down what I mean. When Palpatine was in his office, we can see that literally just moments before the Jedi Masters enter his office, he is observing the Death Star blueprints on his holomonitor. He turns it off when he senses them arrive. As he turns around, he greets them with his usual friendly Chancellor demeanor. Also, when he greets Windu, his tone is light and somewhat surprised. When Windu says nothing, he remarks, "I take it General Grievous has been destroyed then." This tells us a couple of things about this scene, namely that he did not foresee them coming so soon and he was caught somewhat off guard. First, he was surprised to see Windu and assumed that he brought news of General Grievous's destruction. I know this reason is flimsy because he is always courteous and cordial as Palpatine and could simply be trying to throw off the Jedi. However, he was looking at the Death Star plans. He would never do this unless he was certain he wouldn't be interrupted. The Supreme Chancellor is a busy man. He clearly would have had a schedule or an itinerary of some kind that he itemized list of all of his meetings for the day, and he wouldn't be looking at these plans if he had a future meeting. When Darth Sidious was going to face down the Zabrak brothers on Mandalore, he went with the intent to kill them as they had become his rivals. He clearly knew the power of Maul as he had indeed been the one to train him in the Force, and he knew that he would also be facing a creature of Mother Talzin's design in Savage Opress. He brought with him his second lightsaber just so that he would be able to take them down quickly and quietly, as he didn't want to draw out a fight while he was in the public as Darth Sidious. Therefore, it's a simple theory of that he was pre-prepared for this duel with the Zabrak brothers, and just wasn't when the Jedi Masters came in to arrest him. This perfectly segues into the next theory, however, though, which is the reason that Sidious took 2 lightsabers to fight down Savage and Maul is that he may have actually been afraid of Maul at first. Like we mentioned a moment ago, Maul was his apprentice, trained in the dark side as his assassin by Sidious personally. Obviously, Sidious didn't intend to keep him as his true right-hand man. However, he trained him for a specific purpose. That purpose was to kill Force wielders. Sidious may not have taught Maul all the secrets of the dark side, but he did did give Maul exemplary combat curriculum with which to turn him into the perfect living weapon. Sidious even admitted that he was genuinely impressed that Maul had survived his injuries. This made sense that Maul had grown stronger in the Force than before. The other thing that may have struck fear in him is actually Savage Opress, which is another indicator as to why he was so well prepared. We have made a video on this channel before on how Sidious actually feared Mother Talzin. Having discovered that Savage was another creature of Talzin's making, he would of course rush to put an end to this being. I mean, let's look at it from Sidious's perspective. Suddenly, his old apprentice comes back from the dead and has conquered an entire planet of warriors alongside some monster made by Talzin. How could he not put two and two together and assume that it was a ploy to destroy him personally? His paranoia was what made him force Dooku to kill Ventress, as he sensed she was growing in power and could one day Dooku and Ventress rival him. Not to mention, Maul had broken the rule of two by having his own apprentice a rival. He must be destroyed then by the one Dark Lord. My point from all of this is Sidious wanted to see these two dead, and dead quickly. And I'm sure he was well aware that Savage would have a saber staff, and Maul may have constructed another as he would later. And therefore Sidious wanted to have two lightsabers of his own just in case. But I think that upon arrival, Sidious sensed that perhaps he had more of an edge over them than he had originally thought. During their saber duel, he was almost toying with the Zabrak brothers, and he managed to kill Savage with barely any effort whatsoever. At the very end, he decided that Maul could still be of some use to him, and actually decided to keep him alive as to get closer to Mother Talzin. So how exactly does this reflect his duel with the Jedi Masters? Simple. He does not see them as much of a threat as he sees Maul and Savage. If Sidious did see them coming, which I believe is actually very likely, as he was very powerful with future sight, he would have the confidence in knowing that he could take them down as the true Dark Lord, believing quite arrogantly that two Sith apprentices eclipse the power of members of the Jedi Council. The Sith Order did not come 1,000 years and land on him for him not to be able to flick any Jedi away with his sheer power. In the Revenge of the Sith novelization, the scene played out a bit differently than it does in the film. When Sidious finally revealed his signature and stopped burying it, the Masters were all staggered and taken aback just at his mere presence within the Force. It was compounded by this Force scream, which only Windu recovered from fast enough to combat the Chancellor. Our final theory today, though, revolves around Sidious's hubris. This theory builds off the previous one in that he wanted Maul and Savage out of the way as quickly as possible so that he could make his own clean getaway. When it came to the Jedi Masters, though, he had all the time in the world. Order 66 was loaded in the chamber and just required Palpatine to pull the trigger. The Republic was his, and he had already won. We already know that he barely has need for a lightsaber anyhow, and merely uses one to mock the Jedi. They didn't deserve his second blade because he was fully confident in being able to take them down with just one. Sidious believed in the dark side so strongly that he did not consider it an opinion or a point of view that the dark side was stronger than any Jedi. He saw it as a black and white fact. He wanted to first humble the Jedi Council members by showing them what the true power in the dark side feels like, and relish in their awe and suffering before he slew them. He wanted to take his time and bask in their terror. There was no need to rush by this point. But anyway, my friends and students of the Force, what did you think of today's video? Do you like any of these, or do you have your own theory as to why Palpatine only used a single blade? Again, make sure to comment down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.